Hello everyone, and welcome back to the BUSR YouTube channel for the weekly recap of all the action that has unfolded in Week 4 of the Winter Championship. As always, first up was the BUSR GT3 League held on Assetto Corsa Competizione, this time held at the historic Laguna Seca circuit in Central California. A last-gasp effort from James White denied overall and student championship leader Ben Gilroy pole by just 0.03 of a second, whilst the ever-consistent Anna Foster consolidated her alumni lead by qualifying third. Edge Hill driver Ed Haskell had his best showing in BUSR, qualifying 5th overall, with series debutants Cav Budd and Mike Maitland lining up 15th and 17th respectively. The green flag flew and it was immediately White claiming the upper hand into the first corner, where he would settle into an early lead. Behind, however, carnage was unfolding as Anna Foster and Ben Gilroy traded paint in turn 2, dropping the former down to 4th behind fellow McLaren Aidan Chatburn. Further back, Haskell and the Ferrari driver of Josh Lodge came together, leaving the former backwards in the middle of the track just one corner later, collecting several cars and hampering Haskell's qualifying efforts immediately. Just 3 laps into the race, White was the first to make his scheduled stop, relinquishing the lead to Gilroy. Having taken on fresh tyres and having filled his car with fuel, and pushing hard to get back on terms with the Durham driver, he would dramatically be forced to retire after a moment in turn 6 looped his Ferrari 296 into the barriers. This left Gilroy on his own out front, just like at Zolder the week before. Further back, however, F1 regular Owen Goldsmith looked to be on course for his first podium in ACC, having stayed out of trouble in the opening laps. But Cam Gold, having started from the very back of the grid, was pushing hard to bring that gap down. Come the checkered flag, however, it would be another comfortable win for Ben Gilroy, who extends his lead in both the overall and student championships. Anna Foster in second overall would win the alumni class, and Owen Goldsmith would bring BMW back to the podium with a fantastic 3rd place. The 4th round of iRacing brings our drivers to Rudskogen back in the GR86s. With only 4 cars on the grid this week, the timing boards were a sea of red representing the alumni drivers. Koch would be the one on pole, with Stather only a few hundredths behind, and Adam Benjamin and Charlotte Perkins would find themselves back on the second row. The first race would have a rolling start, and Koch would have a great first lap, taking a large lead almost immediately. But further back would have battles with Stather losing a position to Benjamin, but he wouldn't keep that position for long, as Stather would pass him shortly after. Meanwhile, Charlotte Perkins was not having a good time at the back as she'd spin her car. The race would settle, but Stather would slowly close in on Koch and would pass him with minutes left of the race when he got a slowdown, taking the win from Koch right at the death. Adam Benjamin would come in 3rd, and Charlotte Perkins would take P4. The feature race would have another clean start, with Benjamin losing time and Perkins getting through into 3rd, before spinning out and eventually crashing into a wall, putting her car out of the race. Koch would be stuck onto the back of Stather like glue, and the two would have a race-long battle for the lead, but eventually it was Koch who would be spun out and Stather would slow down to let him back through. Then have one more lap of close battling, and after a repeat of the previous lap, Koch was the one who took the win, with Stather in P2. Benjamin rounded out the podium in 3rd place. Next week, the drivers will head to Concord, back in the street stocks. This week, the BUSR F1 series arrived at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya in Spain, a track full of motorsport history and prestige. In a cloudy qualifying, Desan was rapid from the word go, 2 tenths up on his nearest competitor Matti. Championship contender Cameron Searle was unable to set a lap at all, as a wheel issue meant they'd collide with the wall and have to start from the very back. By the end of the session, it was Desan who managed to improve on his own time and got pole whilst being the only driver to enter the 1-minute 10s. In second was Matti after setting a great lap a bit earlier on in the session, with Joe completing the top 3. The race saw the first full wet conditions of the season so far, and at the start of the race it was Desan who got a great launch, maintaining his lead while Matti and Joe went side by side into turn 1, Joe gaining the place. Further behind, drivers kept it mostly clean except a couple of stray end plates strewn around the circuit. But entering the final sequence of corners, Cameron Searle again went straight into the barriers after another problem with their wheel, and also bringing out the first virtual safety car. The first full safety car of the race came out on lap 6 after Assassin retired from the race. By this point in time, the rain had become lighter, leading to some drivers pitting for intermediate tyres on lap 7, and followed by the majority of the grid just 1 lap later. After a superb strategy, Moore Island found themselves in a strong position after being the first one to brave intermediates. And once the safety car ended, there was some great racing action as many cars were out of position on different strategies. Once the drivers had settled down and all got into a groove, the track started to dry, and before you knew it, it was time for the slick tyres. Desan was the first to pit, followed by Matti after Joe hit the invisible bump entering pit lane, leading to a loss of around 6 seconds. On brand new soft tyres, times were tumbling, but it was Joe who was able to find the pace as he managed to get the fastest lap chasing down Matty for second. He would eventually use DRS to get this move done, but 3 track limit warnings meant he would only be second on the road on the checkered flag. Further down the grid, Wilson, Morand and Tom Hug were in a fantastic battle for P6, which was rage until the very end of the race. The checkered flag fell and it was Desan taking his first BUSR win after having incredible pace throughout the entire race. Matty would finish second with Joe's penalty dropping him just 1 place into third. This promotes Matty into the overall lead of the championship after his fantastic start to the season. Next week the drivers will go to the Netherlands to drive the exhilarating Zandvoort circuit. Our farewell tour to Dirt Rally 2.0 headed down under this week to New Zealand, as our competitors would fling their F2 kit cars around the famous Wanga coast test. Buckminster Fullerene was the standout star in the student class. A veteran of BUSR competition, the NTU competitor started off strong, with 2 4th place finishes in class, and followed it up with a fine podium last week. This week was more of the same, with a 2nd, 3rd place in class, after a fantastic effort, as well as a magnificent 5th place overall, with a bonus point from the power stage. In the alumni class, it was another clean sweep for Penelope Dobbins. Behind the wheel of a Seat Tabitha kit car, she was able to keep clear of other challengers to get a clean sweep in class as well as an overall podium spot. Elsewhere, issues impacted on some of our competitors. A technical issue saw Ed Haskell retire at the final stop control, meaning that the Sol VW Golf didn't get credited with a time in the rally-ending power stage. Some of our Seat shod drivers, such as Mad Dog, found trouble when they went off the stage and into the vegetation. However, up at the front, it was back to business as usual. Doomskull was a man on a mission after his issues in Wales very nearly cost him the win, and the Spectre that stole the trophy last week continued to haunt him. Doom blitzed the competition this week, winning the event by 40 seconds and setting a time in the rally-ending power stage nearly 10 seconds quicker of the next car, Penny in her own Ibiza. Next week our competitors will stay in the Southern Hemisphere as they take the modern R5 machinery up and down El Condor in Argentina. And that concludes this week's events. If you're interested in competing with us and you're a university student or alumni, then head over to our Discord server at busr.gg/Discord to find out more about how you can get involved. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.